you brought up Beanie Sigel. Do you feel like Beans should have been bigger than what he had? Because I do remember seeing an interview with Jay, and they, everybody
what happened
thought
with
Beanie
Beans?
Sigel was going to be like the next
Wait. What happened?
huge thing.
I'm gonna tell you. What happened with Beans was we had set up the clothing line. I sold my interest in Rockaware, Rockefeller, and we were gonna do the movies and do everything, and then he just went with Jay when he came home, and that f***ed up a lot of money for me. I've heard interviews where he says he didn't know these things. I'm like, he definitely knew these things. And then when Tom, I keep forgetting his last name, but they went around my back and talked to Beans and told him he should be making clothes more like Rockwear because sales wasn't. And then he did that record with R. Kelly, and he was like, it wasn't Beans, it wasn't State Property Beans. So I just felt like Jay tricked him so he wouldn't take over, because Beans was like, he was. I can't say he wasn't like that. He's regardless of what has happened, he was about that life. He was like that. Like I've argued with Beans and be like, damn, now I got to fight Beans. But I would have to if we're going to do that. But, it never came through. You know what I mean? Like, if you run in a crew, you got to fight whoever steps up. And Beans was ferocious, good rapper. But, I got sick of going up to jails and trials. I used to have to take a jet just to hand them over to the feds. It's traumatizing. I had to, I let him stay in one of my cribs, a loft in Tribeca for his house arrest, so he could work. It becomes family, funerals, all type of shit, B. It's like, it's a lot when you're ahead of a certain kind of team. But I do think definitely he could have, that's what I always said. I say, homie ruined his life, because he was going to be bigger than Jay. Cam was going to be bigger than Jay. Kanye is bigger than Jay. Pause. You know what I'm saying? Like, every one of them would have had Kanye success. I promise you that. And it can still happen. And now that Bleak and I see his work ethic, I think he could have did his big one too. I really do. That's what I regret. I regret not understanding Bleak and how his superpower. His superpower is his loyalty, not his rap. It's his loyalty.
You mentioned being there for Beans. I know he was going through his trial and you were there all the time.
Yeah.
What was that time like for you? And what was...
It was tiring.
Every day, situation?
Every day, new suit, van. I was the first dude with a van before Sprinter. So we take the van with the peanut butter guts, with the Rockefeller all in the headrest, and we go to Philly, sit through that trial, go walk through, make sure he felt supported. Then I have to go home and then come on back. But every day I would bring back a different Rockefeller. So I was like, if y'all don't support him, I'm not putting your records out, because we're supposed to be a family. So to me, it's like anybody I get money with, then, like even Oskino, I had to go to, get on, stand for him or whatever. All of them, Petey Crack, Petey Crack was supposed to be El Plaga, not Noriega, but he caught a bid. It was supposed to be Petey Crack. I used to be arguing with Petey Crack's management. There were some Italians, now I didn't even know, I heard the mob was heavy out there. I don't know if they were mobbed up or not, but it seemed like it. But I'd be arguing with them.
What did you think when Beans and Jay started going, or more when Beans started going after Jay?
I wasn't surprised. Matter of time. I was like, I knew that. Because when he said he was going to rock with him, I was like, let's see how that goes.
Because Beans seemed to be really upset that Jay wouldn't vouch for him when he was on trial to get bailed out.
Yeah, I was upset about that too. That was some sucker shit to me. We were all upset about it, bro. Nobody was jacking that.
Were you surprised? Like, was that something that...
Jay's cold, man. That thing that happened with his father, just breaking out, when he was young, I think that's really made him very cold. So, like, when he was young, and he tells the story, his mother told him that his father didn't want him no more. And I think his father was very close to him. So I know how close I am to Dusko. So, if I ever were to just say I don't want you anymore, that would kill Dusko. it would break his heart. Any one of my kids. And he actually lived that. So I just think he had a certain kind of trauma that's, made it where he acts a certain way toward people.
Damn. Man,
Yeah, I honestly, when he told me that story, I was like, damn. Because I got kids, so I'd be like, that sucks. And I think that f***ed him up.
Right, yeah, he's talked about it in quite a few songs, man. We've
Like,
through his music, we've learned about it.
The shot his own brother. Like, I would never shoot my brother. That's some cold shit. I don't think he tried to kill him. He shot him in the arm, but it wasn't anything that he needed to get shot over. And this is something he talked about in his records. No chatty patty shit, but I know his brother. I mean, I know his brother Eric. He's loud, very loud, and annoying at times. No disrespect, Eric. I don't want no beef with you. Pause. But you definitely were funny to be around. But he didn't deserve to get shot. It was like over a chain or some stupid shit. I was like, you shot your brother over that?
Yeah, that's wild.
So
Well,
my point is, he's
man,
cold. He's cold-blooded, cunning, conniving, and he the thing with the Tavio is, for some reason, 2 days before the interview, he disappeared, and so did the other kid, whatever his name is. They both did. If we would have spoke, we could have actually articulated the right way that we wanted this to be launched. But they did know I was going to the Breakfast Club, and that kid Dante, or whatever his name is, he knew that I had a statement that I was putting for the Tavio, but I wanted to talk to him to make sure that we said the right shit. But I don't have time to move at their pace. That's why they broke. They move slow. They do their business different. And I think they're not that bright. I think they're stupid over there. I think the way they approach their business as it relates to media is dumb. I just think it's very, I could double their numbers in a hot minute. We have why wouldn't you? The thing is, even with like a Netflix, they were losing money and they still got to raise $1 billion every year, which is meaning they're spending someone else's money, but it's fine. They're in, their debt till they make it back. They just got a lot of cash flow, but at least they're making content that they could leverage later. It's different verticals, and I don't think they stimulate them. The approach on their business approach to me, I could make that $400 million in a hot second. They make no money on linear. They're not even Nielsen rated, so their linear doesn't mean anything. You understand what I'm saying?
Yep.
They don't even get ads for linear. It's all programmatic. What am I doing? Programmatic. I get the full CPM. They got to go through a middleman. So if I could look at their engagement and see what it would do with our programmatic, it would probably be double, triple. But why wouldn't they want to rock with that? Why wouldn't the bank is getting their money, so they don't care. But the thing is, that's all they make is enough to pay their loan, allegedly. But a lot of these are public things, so it's like people just don't read.
Yeah, that's no good if you're only making money just to pay your loan back.
You're broke. But that company is doing that. iHeart, again, I'll say allegedly, but I was looking to buy that company because iHeart is about to go bankrupt. You'll see. So I'm like, I could take, again, I'm not going to buy it with my own money, but if the numbers make sense, but they got too much debt. None of them make money, bro. I'm the only one with no debt. And they call me broke, and that's why I'm upset that I'm like, Charlamagne, you're teaching these people wrong. You're bankrupt shaming me, and you're teaching. That's the reason why black people don't file now. Who got more debt than black people? So when I go to file, the lady that's doing all the work is telling me no black people files, all white people. Black people be too ashamed, and it's the best thing for us when we need a little help. 50 filed, he filed 11 because he had too many assets. So his assets were worth more than the debt. So you can't file. I had no assets, so I could file. Or they're gonna liquidate everything. But again, those are all startups. So go ahead, liquidate them. Every company in my family office is a startup. But all the money that we make goes into the business. We don't want any loans. If you got $150 million loan, you're broke to me. So again, the people you keep calling billionaires and rich, They all got a lot of loans. They cannot stop working. They cannot relax. The reason why I can sit on a lake and I don't have to show up anywhere is because I don't owe nobody no money that loaned it to me. I just owe the government in judgments. They got to pay a nut every year or they're going to lose shit, whoever it is. But stop telling me these people are rich because they look good spending other people's money. Because they have something that they can leverage, they just keep getting loans against it. And that's what we have to teach. I'm not saying it because I care about this dude or any one of these people you're saying billionaires. I just want y'all to learn so y'all don't get and be in these same positions and be old and jammed up and got to go tap dancing when you're like Sammy Davis Jr. when he like 89. Because you got to pay off a loan. At some point, you got to want to. I've been loving relaxing. You know what I'm saying? When I get in the city, I'm right out this city. I want to get back on that lake. I love chilling with my family. I love having a healthy, regular relationship with the people I love. I love being able to get up and take my kid to school. I don't have to work off no debt. Everyone does. That's why they outside. When you see people touring all over and they just did, it's like, yo, that shit looks tight. Yo, touring sucks. I don't care what nobody say, especially been doing that shit forever. That shit gets boring. I hated that shit after Hard Knock Life. I was like, I ain't going back on no tours. You're on a tour bus every day, packing, mall, hotel, wait all day in the show. Herpes is everywhere, so you can't touch no girls. And then you go and pack and leave again for like 30 days. That shit is hell. Whoever's touring is because they got to. They working off of debt. So look at the Live Nation deals. They give you $100 million. They was give it to you. You got to work that off. That's their money. Until you work that off, you work for them. Whatever they tell you to do, you doing. Somebody gives you a loan for $150, you're gonna kiss his ass. They tried to give me those loans. Hell no. You'll never be my boss. I'm not kissing your ass. And that was the issue. I don't want the loans. So y'all can keep calling that broke. I call it no debt. But the assets that my family office have at some point may generate a lot of income. But let's say they did and I had $100 million debt, it would all go to the debt. We have no debt, clean slate. We start making money right now, it's all P. Pause. They make money, they got to make 80 million before they can make profit. And they're not doing that. Nobody is. So all these people, I hope they got enough money for these lawsuits because y'all, all of them, they none of them have no bread.
What's up? This is Cam Capone. We got more content like this coming soon. So hit that like button, subscribe, and stay locked in to Cam Capone News.